It's Kate.
And Oliver Hudson. Host of the new podcast, Sibling
Revelry.
That's right.
We started this show because, you know what? No one talks about siblings and that dynamic.
The siblings, they know each other better than anybody.
Yes.
You know.
Listen to Sibling Revelry on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm Jacob Goldstein. I used to host Planet Money. Now I'm starting a new show. It's called What's Your Problem? Every week on What's Your Problem, entrepreneurs and engineers describe the future they're going to build once they solve a few problems. I'm talking to people trying to figure out how to do things that no one on the planet knows how to do, from creating a drone delivery business to building a car that can truly drive itself. Listen to What's Your Problem on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 255, How to Utilize Buy Nothing Groups.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are talking about Buy Nothing Groups. If you are unfamiliar, we'll explain it. If you're not on Facebook and you wish you had access to Buy Nothing Groups, we will say alternatives. Don't worry, Buy Nothing Groups are just a great way to get things for free and to pass on things you don't need. And we're excited to do a deep dive on them today.
It is what it sounds like. It's buying nothing.
Yeah.
Spending money on nothing, but still getting things and giving things with our second favorite F word, which is free.
Yes. But first, this episode is brought to you by Debt-Free Stories. So we are doing a project this fall to inspire our listeners paying off debt and celebrate those of you who have been listening and succeeding with your debt payoff goals. So if you have reached a debt payoff goal, we want to hear from you. It's not going to be anything intense. You're not going to have to come on the podcast and do a full interview or anything. We just really want to share your story from your own mouth, celebrate you, and you can be inspiring a bunch of other people trying to do exactly what you have done. So if you want to help us out, help other people out who are on the same journey, celebrate yourself, please head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/stories for more info and to fill out a short pre-screen survey.
You know, we love to highlight our listeners' stories and voices, which is why we've never given up the Bill of the Week segment.
Absolutely.
And you all have sent in so many great submissions. And this is like, imagine Bill of the Week elevated.
Yes.
To your debt-free, debt payoff stories.
Yes.
Cannot wait to hear them.
Because when we get requests for episodes, more debt payoff stories is always the number one thing. So we're going all in. We are really going to try to go all in on these with this special project. And we want to hear them from you. We don't want to be highlighting people you've already heard from all the time. So yeah, please, frugalfriendspodcast.com/stories. So buy nothing groups. Love them. Some people don't love them. We're going to cover that. Alternatives, ways to get through it. If you are somebody who loves free stuff, we haven't talked about Buy Nothing groups in a while. The last episodes we have are way back in the archives, like 200 episodes ago.
Oops.
Yeah, so we've got episode 31, which is how to get everything for free. So that's where we cover Buy Nothing groups. We cover time banks, Craigslist. And we've got some updates on that kind of in this episode.
Is Craigslist even a thing anymore? That's how old that episode is.
Yeah,
Craigslist was relevant.
Right, 4 years ago. So no Craigslist in this episode. But yeah, so how to get everything for free. And let us know if you'd like a singular episode on time banks. Give us an email or a shout somewhere. Let us know if you'd like one on time banks too, because that's another topic we could dive into. It's really interesting. And then episode 58, building a frugal culture in your community, which is what Buy Nothing groups are essentially here to do. So that's episode 58. And it is time for an update for sure.
Yeah, so here we are.
Yes. So let's dive in to our first article. And this is called 5 Reasons Why I Love Buy Nothing Groups. This is from Simple by Emmy. And in quotation, or in parentheses, and you will too. So how do you feel about this article, Jill? And how do you feel about Buy Nothing groups?
It did get me excited and I think a desire to re-engage in Buy Nothing groups. I really love the concept of them. I am a part of my local Buy Nothing group. I have maybe used it a handful of times to offload items in my home. I have not yet used it to score anything free for myself yet. So I love them. I think I kind of ebb and flow in seasons to how much I have the time to kind of give to donating things and posting pictures and answering questions.
Yeah.
And when I don't. And then, and this article mentions this, but how often maybe I want to actually sell an item versus giving it away for free. And both are possible. Like, we're not advocating that to use a Buy Nothing group means now you forever and always have to give things away for free. That's not the case. But there are plenty of things, and I experience this too, that it doesn't feel worth my time for the amount of money I could get for the item to sell it, but yet it still is valuable and useful, just not useful to me anymore. And so I think it's a great way to serve the community. So all in all, I like them. I can't say though that like is attached to me utilizing it constantly.
Yeah, it is definitely seasonal, and we'll talk about all of that through these next 2 articles. But yeah, we're going to go through all 5 on this one because we really like all 5.
So for starters, the article does talk about just what Buy Nothing groups are, and the name does it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It is a group online, usually local to your area, where you can post things for free and get things for free. You're buying nothing, but you are getting something out of being a part of the group. And so some of the things that they're highlighting in this article, and we'll go through them just to hype you up on this concept. Number 1 is that Buy Nothing groups are hyper local. And this is my experience as well, meaning that you're connecting with your actual neighbors. Most Buy Nothing groups, especially if you are in a more populated area, a city like we are in St. Pete, our Buy Nothing groups are just a couple of miles that it covers.
I don't even think we're in the same Buy Nothing group.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
No. And in our area, you're not allowed. And that's a pretty standard rule that
is
you
a
can't
standard.
be in multiple Buy Nothing groups.
Yeah.
So that you're not getting like super grabby with all the stuff that's being posted. And one of the things that they say about this hyper local concept, like you're meeting your very real neighbors that are just a few blocks away, is that the likelihood of people kind of flaking out on you or just sending a standard, is this still available, and then ghosting you, isn't happening as much. There seems to be a little bit more higher level of engagement and respect for one another. Of course, when you take money out of the equation, that can also, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but they're just saying that the follow through seems to be a little bit heightened within a Buy Nothing group. And it could be because it's hyper localized.
Yeah. So my first complaint about Buy Nothing groups and this is for bigger cities, because we have so many Buy Nothing groups in St. Pete, it's that it can alienate some people. So like the more expensive parts of town, you can't benefit from the nicer quality stuff that they are giving because you can't get into their Buy Nothing group. And so if you are in a lower income area, the quality does fluctuate. I've been in 2 Buy Nothing groups, not at the same time, and I've noticed a big difference. The one I was in first before we moved, was definitely higher income, definitely had better quality stuff. And if you are in a more spread out area, you may not experience this. But because we are so densely populated, we're the most densely populated county in the state of Florida, we experience this here. And so you can only be in one group at a time. And they do ask you where you live, like not your address, but like if you're in the zones. But they're not going to check your tax records to see if you're lying or not. They're just going to check to see if you're in another group. If you are, you've got to like either leave or be kicked out before you can join the other group. That's the vetting that they do. So you will have to undergo some vetting. So if you want to be in the, and this sounds bad, but if you want to be in the buy nothing group on the rich side of town, you can't be in the one by you. The caveat that would come with that would be you can't do like a porch pickup. If you're going to give something away, you'll have to bring it to that neighborhood because of the hyper localness of it. And same thing, if you want to pick something up, you're going to have to drive to that part of town for that. So something to be aware of if you are in a densely populated county. And there's a ton of fine stuff in our area. I would say try it in its purest form first. And if you don't see success, but you see there's another group having a lot of success that's really busy, you don't have to relegate yourself to just yours. What I am preferring now, especially since I've left Facebook for the most part, is the Nextdoor app. So it's like, so the Buy Nothing group has released an app, and we'll talk about that later, but I like the Nextdoor app because it doesn't have the segregation almost that the Buy Nothing groups on Facebook have. You get that wider area of things. And so, yeah, that's just something to be aware of. Hyperlocal is great. You get to meet your close neighbors, but it can also have drawbacks.
Yeah. I would just add the caveat that the purpose of a Buy Nothing group is reciprocity. And I know we'll get there, but just to that point of potentially exploring a Buy Nothing group that isn't actually in your area, to, as you said, Jen, first begin in your area and actually see if it's active and working for you. And if not, still follow the rules of only being a part of one Buy Nothing group. But my strong encouragement would still be to be an active member who's also giving and not just receiving. Like I could see that being a draw to say, well, let me go here so I can get like all of these better things just for myself. But the Buy Nothing group and the community that it creates is definitely one of reciprocity, giving and receiving. So I just want to highlight that aspect. Please keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, that leads into the second point is the Buy Nothing focuses on abundance, collaboration, and creativity rather than scarcity culture. And this is the ethos of the Buy Nothing group. It's not necessarily carried out by its members, but all of the admin for Buy Nothing groups are fantastic. They are as long as they're very like adamant about the ethos. If you get admin that are really adamant about the ethos, then it's a really great, positive, encouraging group. And you can even ask questions. That's part of like the collaboration and the creativity. And it's people giving out of abundance. You will sometimes see people asking for money out of need. It's typically rare, though, if you've got a well-maintained group. And those are usually monitored by the admin anyway. So it's a really good place where people are giving out of abundance, taking because they need, not to resell, and just getting to know your neighbors. And even the language that they require that you use. It's like it's not like a buy, sell kind of like language. They require that you use plain language like you're talking to people. So there's no like ISO, whatever, where you're just looking for stuff. You have to recognize that we're all people and we're all in this collaboratively. So like, yeah, this really does work based on the admin of the group. But if you've got good admin, then it really does just really like set a really good ethos for the group.
Yeah. Speaking of ethos, another reason that this article advocates for Buy Nothing groups, and a reason I really like it too, I've noticed this in my Buy Nothing group. Number 3 is that group members are encouraged to slow down and let posts simmer for at least 12 hours, which really does make the giving and receiving process less frantic. It reduces this high sense of urgency and just makes it a more enjoyable process. And I love this, especially for some of your more high ticket items. And that's usually where I'll see it is somebody posts, let's say somebody posts a Vitamix mixer. I don't know why they would ever do that. But let's say someone posts a Vitamix blender. A lot of people are going to want that. Who wouldn't, you know? And so rather than making it a first come, first serve, like we might be accustomed to in a Facebook marketplace or yard sale kind of situation, this is really a matter of giving everybody an opportunity to be able to have access to this thing by letting it simmer. And it's not just given to, you know, the person who yells the loudest or is quickest on the draw, letting something simmer. And sometimes it's up to really the giver to decide who it's going to go to. Sometimes they'll do a random, like spin the wheel of names. Sometimes they'll just get to choose who they want it to go to. But what I think this also reduces is the same person constantly getting the things just because that's all they're doing is sitting at Facebook. Home and seeing all these posts and having access to it. And also a really good admin is going to make sure that that's not happening either, that you've got your one person who's always asking for stuff, always the first to take stuff, that there really is this culture of reciprocity that is really encouraged in the group. And it's a reason I love it too, because sometimes, especially on Facebook Marketplace, I can see something that, I would really love to purchase that thing, but there's already 50 comments, so forget about it. But with something like a Buy Nothing group, there could be 50 comments, but if it's not given away yet, you could still have a chance to be able to get that thing. Not everything is like a hot ticket item like that, but I really love that simmer approach.
Yeah, and those posts will be marked like this is a simmer post. I like it when they say a time when they're going to come back and check. That way you know, like, if it's done simmering or not. But I love the ones that are like, gonna let this one simmer, post your funniest meme and I'll pick my favorite, or post your best dad joke or GIF, something like that. But I also just like, I'm gonna put the copy and paste the names into a wheel and pick the one that comes up. But I really like the ones that are funny memes and GIFs because then everyone just gets to like scroll. Everyone benefits.
Right.
Even if you don't get it, you still get to scroll through a bunch of funny memes and GIFs. So I love the simmer post. And it means you don't have to be babysitting Facebook, which is another complaint, a chief complaint that people have about Buy Nothing groups is that you have to babysit it to get the good stuff. But when you've got good admins, when you've got good participants in the group, and you get these simmer posts, then you feel better. Like if you're checking it once a day and you've missed something, you feel okay about it because the next day you're going to hit on a simmer post that you're going to get. So it's really good. Fourth is Buy Nothing groups allow you to live more sustainably by thinking secondhand first. And you know that is something that we personally love, is thinking secondhand first. It not only saves you a ton of money, but it helps the environment because when you are throwing away stuff, you pay for your city's dump. Like in your utilities, you pay for that. And so the more space your city has to use to throw junk away, the more property they have to buy elsewhere, the more you pay for that. So thinking secondhand first isn't just an environmental choice. It's actually a double-sided money-saving choice. And this is really another part of the ethos of Buy Nothing groups is that you are, instead of also just giving something to Goodwill, that Goodwill, if they don't sell, will also just throw away. You know you're giving it to somebody who actually wants it. And so it takes out the middleman of thrift stores. It is not that much extra work for the giver, and it saves a lot of people money.
Mm-hmm. I love the example that they give in here too. And I've seen this as well, that there can be some borrowing that happens in buy nothing groups. It's not always just about giving and never seeing that item again. Sometimes there's opportunities where someone just wants something for quick use, but doesn't need it long term. And what a more sustainable way to approach things. The writer gives the example of wanting a chocolate fountain for a brunch meeting that they were doing. And before buying it on Amazon for $25, they checked with the Buy Nothing group, and someone was willing to just let them borrow theirs, which was awesome because they didn't need a chocolate fountain long term. They just needed to use it for the brunch meeting. So I also love that possibility within the Buy Nothing group.
Yeah, I see that all the time. And this is a place where that hyper-local, which is why you should try the hyper-local, pure local group first, is that you can create these relationships with people where, you can borrow their stuff, they can borrow your stuff, and you're just creating these relationships that are really important to using resources that are not money to get things that you would normally spend money on. So the money is not ultimately the thing we ever want. It's the thing the money gets us. And if we can get those things without the middleman, so to speak, without the money, then why wouldn't we? And the way we normally get those things without money is through relationships. And that's what we're building. That's the capital that we're building through these hyper-local relationships. And that's a mindset shift to live that way. And the Buy Nothing group is kind of this facilitated way when you've made this mindset shift and you're like, okay, where do I go now? Do I just walk up to my next door neighbors and offer them a cup of sugar? I don't know. The Buy Nothing group gives you a way to work out this mindset and build those relationships with other people who've also made the mindset shift.
Yeah, because it might take a little more time to do this than it would just to one click buy something on Amazon. But when we've made that mindset shift that it's valuable to connect with our community, it's valuable to go secondhand first and to reuse what's already out in the world, then the additional time that it takes suddenly becomes so much more worth it. The last one on this list is that number 5, generosity is a cornerstone of Buy Nothing groups. And we love this. We love the tenets of generosity, the way that it can be woven into a frugal lifestyle, a values-based lifestyle. And what we can also see happen is when we give and we see the impact of that giving, it can spur us on to want to give more. And there's the benefit, as we've already said, of giving and receiving. Others are also being generous within the Buy Nothing group, but I could see this having an additional benefit of maintaining less clutter, maintaining some more of your minimalist or simple living lifestyle when you've begun to approach your home as, I'm not going to keep everything just because it's already here or I'm sentimentally attached to it, but I'm not using it if this could serve someone else better. There's kind of that other thing that we can click into of generosity to say, I have this, it's just sitting around, I never use it. And rather than throwing it away, it could benefit somebody else. And then now I've got even less clutter in my home that's not being used. So there's just a lot of really beautiful things that can happen out of Buy Nothing.
I love that thought. For those things that are a little harder to give up, to imagine them going into somebody's home versus just the, a box at Goodwill or the dump. It can help you get over that hump to get rid of an item you've needed to get rid of, but have been holding on to because you just don't want to see it go to the wrong place. That's a really good one. And I love their gratitude posts. Again, this comes down to the ethos of the group and the admin and the participants, but you're encouraged to post gratitude posts with the things that you've received. And it's just a really positive, good space. I love that. Not every group has done that. My old group did that more so than this one, but it is really sweet to see. Like, I got all of my baby stuff for Kai from the Buy Nothing group. And I remember just like posting the bags of clothes, because I just posted, oh my gosh, if you're having a baby, this is probably the biggest. When we did our like frugal parenting episode, I was like, Buy Nothing group, man, that's where it's at. And so I said, I'm having a baby boy and I have nothing. Please, anything anyone is trying to, pass on, please.
Also, I know nothing, so tell me what I need.
Right. So I just got all these like bags of clothing. I got a crib.
Jeez.
I didn't even go there for a crib, but I went there for clothing. And she's like, actually, we have this crib that we're not using. Do you need a crib? And I'm like, yes, I need a crib. I meant I had nothing when I said I had nothing.
Yeah.
So we got so much stuff, and I posted a gratitude post to the lady I got the crib from, and it's just really great. It's a really great place.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And if all of this is just making you super antsy to get on your Buy Nothing group, but you don't have one in your area, we're going to talk about how first of all, how you can find one. And if you don't have one, how you can start one if you've got the gumption for it.
And if you have one, how you can participate well in it too.
Yeah.
And this is from shareable.net. And this is an updated thing. We're going to go through all 6 of these steps. This is whether you don't have one or you do. We're going to give you some useful tips for using it. And if you're not on Facebook, we'll weave in some tips for Nextdoor and the Buy Nothing app. So the first step, if you don't have one, actually make sure that one doesn't exist. So the easiest thing to do is to search Facebook for Buy Nothing groups. And if you see one, just try to join it. They'll ask you for confirmation of where you live. And if there's another one that's a better, that's more hyper local, the admin knows, the admin will tell you, actually, this is your group. Mm. So if you don't see one specifically for you, just join the closest one. You'll go through the filtering process. It'll be fine. But if there is actually not one for you, then you can go to buynothingproject.org. You can also, so there's a list at buynothingproject.org too. but I would trust the Facebook more first. And you can contact the administration through the website and follow the protocol, because Buy Nothing Project is trademarked. Like we said, there's an ethos, there's steps, there are guidelines and stuff. So there are things to follow. It's absolutely not a free-for-all. And that's one of the things that makes being part of a Buy Nothing group an enjoyable experience. It can also be an annoyance for some people, but ultimately the guidelines, they're very strict guidelines. Ultimately, that's a good thing for these groups, because there's so many people, so many ideas, so many walks of life. The only thing they share in common is an address, location, area.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely search, ask admin, and then if you really want to start one, buynothingproject.org.
Yeah. So then the second step, just regarding if you do end up setting one up, is talking about setting clear boundaries. Some of this is related to the borders of where the Buy Nothing group is, kind of what roads, what miles kind of demarcate where that Buy Nothing group is located. And of course, if there's not much in your area, then it might be a wider range, a larger geographic area where the Buy Nothing group exists. If it's more city, you might need to really hone it in a lot more. And sometimes you might start with a wide radius and then break off over time if the group starts becoming too large and if it's covering too much surface area within your location. But then this also gets into some of the other sets of rules that you just talked about, Jen, regarding what Buy Nothing groups say is and isn't allowed, the boundaries and the policies that they've set up, and recognizing that it's going to make it a better experience for everybody if we are recognizing and adhering to the rules of not being a part of more than one at a time, of identifying the best location, of these ideas of reciprocity and generosity, and not asking to sell things on the platform or being too greedy with the things that are being given. So it's really important for, if you're joining one, to make sure that some of these things are in place, that the admin is running it in a really ethical, beneficial way for everybody. And if you are starting one, that you're setting these clear boundaries and policies from the start to have a really good experience for everybody.
Yeah. And you can always ask the Buy Nothing Project like administrators via their email, or other local admin that may be a little further away from you. Maybe there's a group that's getting bigger. So usually at about 1,000 people, groups will split off. They'll split, like the writer said, when the group started, hers was a wide swath of Philadelphia. And as Buy Nothing Project has gained notoriety, more people have joined. Now her group is less than 1 square mile. So that happens too. Groups are always breaking off so that they are more manageable. They try not to have more than 1,000 people in a group at a time. And so once they get to that, then they'll start to break off. So maybe your group is approaching that and you want to say, hey, I'm willing to, start another one because we're quite far away from you, whatever. So that's also something you can be open to doing. And you can ask the admin of that group, like, what's been your experience? What do you think my boundaries should be? So ask for help for sure. Third is to give freely from your own abundance and only take what you can use. So this is not a place where people are keeping score. Giving is not based on financial need. It's not a scarcity mindset. It is a sharing mindset. Sometimes giving is based on the best meme, that's what I love about this. The best sob story does not win. This is not where we're trying to prove that we are the poorest person so we get the best stuff. This is a place where we give out of abundance and generosity.
I love that. That's a helpful reminder for me. And as I'm hearing you describe this step, it's highlighting for me that I think this might be one of the barriers for why I don't use it very often. Is I think I constantly have this thought surface in me of, I don't want to take something from somebody who might need it more than I do, which I don't want to totally get rid of that idea, but it is a little bit of a mindset shift to say, but everyone is sharing. And sometimes, anybody who's a part of the group could have access to receive that thing. It doesn't just have to be the person with the biggest need to be able to receive, especially if you're giving. If this is, sometimes you post things for free and sometimes you're able to get things for free. It still feels like a little uncomfortable for me, but I do appreciate needing to look at that reality that when you're a part of this sort of sharing, generous community, it doesn't have to always be based on who has the most acute need. We can just give to one another.
Well, that is the biggest thing from the last article, is that we don't give out of scarcity. We give out of relationship, the desire for relationship and the desire to connect with people, because this is what we have lost in the age of social media, is the face-to-face connection with our neighbors. And that is ultimately what the Buy Nothing group wants to build. That's why there's a high emphasis on hyperlocal, a high emphasis on giving out of abundance, because we're giving out of relationship. So giving freely from your own abundance. And if you're starting one, it will start slow. So don't be afraid of that. I know there's all kinds of tricks you can use to like build up a Buy Nothing group. And that's definitely over on the buynothingproject.org website. But it does start slow. And if you're starting one, you'll have to start with giving of your own stuff first. But and just so the way we make sure that we don't like take too much and play into that like needy scarcity is that you only take what you can use as well. But if you can use it, don't be afraid to ask for it.
Yeah. I like that too, that you can ask for things in the Buy Nothing groups. I didn't really realize that until I was in mine for a couple of months and started seeing people say, does anyone happen to have fill in the blank? And I'm like, oh, that's another cool way of approaching the group rather than just waiting for the potential thing. It's possible someone has the thing. You just need to ask for it.
Yeah. And something like admins I have seen delete are people that are just like, ISO, oh my gosh, what is it? Somebody asked for a laptop, like ISO, a working laptop, which sure, that's fine. The brevity of it and not like just viewing people as things with stuff to give, that's the problem versus the actual like, you need to probably buy that on Facebook Marketplace. Like you're asking a little too much. That was my problem with it. That's not a Buy Nothing problem. You totally have the freedom to ask for a working laptop. But if you're going to do it, you need to have a really good story. You need
At that point, you need to have a good story.
You need to sell me on why I should give you my free working laptop.
But sometimes people have one.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I instantly judged, but then I was like, you know what? That is in their right. Somebody may have that, but you didn't sell me well enough on why you deserve my laptop.
They're not, and they might not be asking to take your laptop, Jen. They're not like banging
I
on your door
know.
saying,
Chocolate
give me the
fountain
one thing
would
you
have been much better. Like if you're like, I have a meeting like that for these people that are really important and I'm looking for a chocolate fountain to make it special. Anyone got one I can borrow? Or anyone got this thing that I can have?
So sometimes you do need the story. You need the sob story.
It's not a sob story. You don't need a sob story. There's a difference.
Oh, I'll make them cry.
Talking to people like they are humans versus only things that can offer you something.
There you go.
That's the differentiation.
Yeah. Okay. So another thing, step 4, don't use the Buy Nothing platform to buy or sell things.
This is the number one rule.
Standard, because it's in the name, Buy Nothing. So yeah, there's plenty of other groups for that. And also make sure that you're reading kind of, the post, whatever someone's posting, some of the pinned documents, basic rules of group decorum. Make sure that you're aware of how the group is asking that you engage. But definitely one of the biggest no-nos is trying to buy or sell things, it can seem like one is worse than another, like trying to sell something is worse than trying to buy something, but both are equally frowned upon. That do not try to offer money for something, because that too elevates you above somebody else to receive something. Because you're offering money. So it's kind of like two ends of the spectrum. Like, it's not about the most needy person, and it's also not about the most wealthy person. All are equal in the buy nothing group, and we give out of generosity and relationship and abundance and creativity.
Yeah. And if somebody sees something from the buy nothing group on Facebook Marketplace, you will get banned from buy nothing groups in general in your area.
Oh, like you went and took something for free and then tried to sell
it on Marketplace.
Ooh, yeah, that's a
that
big
has
no-no.
happened. I have seen it. You will get banned, not just kicked out of your group. You will get banned from all the groups in your area.
And I support that. Yes, please do not
Somebody
do that.
will find you out, because the same people browsing their buy nothing group are browsing Facebook Marketplace. You know,
you
that's
will be found out.
Yeah, you will be found out.
You can run, you can hide, but you will be caught.
Yeah. So step 5 is to share your skills. That's another. You don't have to just give things. You can give skills. This is actually a big thing in time banks. So if you're looking to share skills and receive service in the form of skills, definitely see if your city has a time bank, because that's really all time banks do. Instead of things, it's services.
And lastly, number 6, we've talked about this already, but show appreciation. And I love this. It also makes it enjoyable for others who are scrolling the group, but certainly for the person who gave the item, to go back and leave a thank you. Even pictures, but just a simple thank you can go a really long way and continues to motivate the group, provides a little bit of that follow-up of you having received the thing, putting it to use. This is just good practice, I think, in general, that we've gotten away from, of following up with a thank you, whether you're in a buy nothing group or you're just a person trying to be a good friend or a good employer or partner. Following up with a thank you. It's just good life advice.
Man, you know what else is good life advice?
And I'm really grateful for it. I usually do follow up with a thank you.
I never forget it.
The bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Hi, Jen and Jill. This is Michelle from Chicago. My bill of the week is actually 2 bills, one for each of my children, medical bills that collectively totaled almost $1,500. And these bills were unexpected and they were burning a hole in my heart. So I just took the plunge and I paid both of them in the same day, paid them off completely. It tightened us up a little bit for the month, but I am so glad that I did it and that I was able to do it. And now we can move on from these 2 medical situations. My children are beautiful and healthy, and I'm just so grateful that we're able to put this behind us. Thank you so much for the podcast. I totally love it. It's become one of my all-time favorites in a very short amount of time. So keep up the great work, and I can't wait to keep listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. That is amazing. And as someone with the Bay and one on the way, I totally know the feeling of that. Just having that weight off of your child. It's so good.
Yeah, connecting these medical bills with them. Every time you see them, you're reminded. Just any bill that is hanging over us, just being able to get it gone, out of the mind, move on with your life feels like a major relief from the to-do list, but also the financial weight lingering over you. So I'm, first of all, so glad you had the money to pay it off. It sounds like it made the month a bit tight, but all worth it for the freedom that you experience with those bills gone. Happy to hear your children are healthy, Michelle. This is awesome. Thanks for phoning in from Chicago. If you all listening to us have a bill that you want to submit, whether it has to do with your beautiful, healthy children that you pay off their medical bills for, or just literally anything else, you literally ran into a duck bill and
kids have a lot of
fun.
expenses. There's probably a lot of options there.
Yeah. Visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. Leave us your bill. We're ready for it. Just sitting over here waiting. We got nothing else to do.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the studio who brought you the #1 podcast, The Piketon Massacre, this is Murder 101.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
Those murders happened in the mid-1980s.
He's out there doing stuff. He just didn't stop.
Everything that the students predicted through their profile turned out to be accurate.
Redhead killer profile. Male, Caucasian, 5'9" to 6'2", 180 to 270 pounds. Unstable home, absent father and a domineering mother. Right-handed, IQ above 100, most likely heterosexual.
There is no profile of this killer except for the ones the students created.
Just because some of these women no longer have people to speak for them does not mean that they deserve to not be spoken for.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
I said, are you going to kill me? And he said, yes.
Listen to Murder 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now it's time for
the lightning round. Pew, pew. All right. So today's lightning round question from our podcast manager, Goldie. And I like how she denotes this, what's the best material thing that you've gotten for free? Because we all know the best things in life are free. But what's the best
like
material thing?
Love from my husband.
Try again.
That's not free. Also, it's not free. There's some sort of exchange there. Okay, so it doesn't have to be through it by nothing group, right?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay, I've got some really great ones. We have gotten, my husband and I, who freely gives me his love, a car, a vehicle, and a hot tub. A nice hot tub. There's other things, but those are like probably some of the biggest ones that I can think of.
Yeah, that's a great hot tub too.
It is a good hot tub.
Yeah, I like that hot tub.
Now, I will say, yes, they were free. Both of those things were a bit of exchanges, kind of a trading of goods and services, but no money was exchanged.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Okay. That's great. That still counts.
Thanks.
You're getting what you want without exchanging money.
Yep.
Or bodies.
Yep. So for the car, we installed a backsplash for good friends, Kevin and Chelsea. Shout out to you guys. You're the best. Holding it down.
Woo.
We installed a backsplash. They gave us their car. And with the hot tub, it was our neighbor's. He was getting a new one, so he was looking to get rid of the old one. And he also needed a place to park his trailer, his smoker that was on a trailer. So we let him park his smoker on a trailer in our backyard for about 6 months. And we got his hot tub.
Fair trade.
Yeah. I mean, I still think we got the better end of that deal.
Yeah.
But
that is a trade I would do.
It was a trade.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a trade I would do. If anybody wants to give me their hot tub, I have a lot of land in Gulfport to park things on, which cannot be said around here.
Here's the thing. There are a lot of people who are trying to get rid of their hot tubs, but a lot of times it's because they need work. Don't be fooled, because we were burned once on this. Eric and I, in our very younger years, were so excited about this hot tub. And essentially what we ended up being was free junk removal for these people. There was no way that the hot tub was ever going to work again. But I don't know. We were young and naive and too nice that we still ended up taking it from them. And then the next few weekends were spent sawzalling it into tiny little pieces so that bit by bit we could throw it away. And that was silly. We were just nice. Yeah, we just did a service for someone. They were elderly. We felt bad. And so we were free junk removal for the day. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I recognize a lot of people trying to get rid of their hot tubs. It's not because they're in perfectly working condition.
Yours is in working condition, though.
Yes, and it's fantastic. What about you?
Okay. So I would say the crib, definitely. All the baby stuff that we got, mostly free. I didn't have like a nesting instinct to where I had to decorate a nursery. I had a like, how do I get this baby into this house?
Like out of my body and into the house.
What is the minimum I have to do to get there?
How do I do the least?
And I think, unfortunately, that comes from my many years of working in foster care and group homes, where I'm like, it doesn't take much. So what's the minimum? And I did that minimum to give my son a very cushy life, a very cushy crib.
He's got all the things he needs.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, now he has like a full-size memory foam mattress, and he still chooses the floor beside my bed to sleep. You know, you can give them the world and they'll choose the floor.
Yeah. I played with buttons as a kid.
Yeah.
I had toys, but what I wanted were the buttons in a jar.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's why I do the least.
To the least.
And Travis gets so many free things.
Yeah, he does.
I can't even begin to say all of the free things. So I think the last one, I will just say one of the most recent ones.
There you go.
So we are redoing the back of our house to be a midterm rental, and the upstairs, everywhere needs flooring, but the upstairs part of the rental, we were going to just do the same flooring as throughout the house. And Travis was taking something to the dump, and this was unique because it costs like $11 or $12 to dump a load. So he usually just takes things in small amounts to his work and dumps them at the airport. And that day he just went to the dump and paid the $11, $12. But what he got was a contractor who was dumping a ton of flooring. And he found literally the perfect amount of flooring that we needed for the upstairs.
I love it.
For free at the dump.
I love it. So he cleared out the bed of his truck with the things that were not salvageable and came home with plenty that was salvageable.
Yeah. So we paid like $12 for the flooring in the rental. But we weren't paying for the flooring. We were just paying for the dump. So that was the most recent, really cool free thing that Travis got.
And that's, things like this can happen outside of Buy Nothing groups too. Just when your eyes are open and you're sniffing about.
When you are engaged in your community.
There you go.
It happens because Travis is very engaged in where he's at.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of like tunnel vision. I'm like a get in, get out kind of person. And wherever Travis is, he fully is. He'll talk to people. He will engage. And he gets stuff for free.
Yeah.
It's a gift. So if it's not you, maybe it's your partner.
Yes. See which one of you can sniff it out.
Yeah.
And be an active community member. Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening. We hope that this inspires you to be a part of your Buy Nothing group, give and receive, and just enjoy being a bigger part of your community. Many of you know we have a private community where we do monthly money challenges and offer accountability groups. And right now, we want to take this time to congratulate one of our members for a big win. This comes from Brittany, who literally titled it Debt Payoff Win! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. I was able to pay an extra $380 to debt this month. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. It's hard to say a bunch of times back to back. That's it. That's the one sentence, and that is the massive win. What was our goal? Like at least put an extra 100 towards
for our
debt?
challenge last month, it was do something to make an extra $100 to put towards debt. That was the challenge.
And she quadrupled her debt, like that goal.
Yeah.
She exceeded it by nearly quad.
Well, Brittany is a
winning member.
Yeah.
Of society and
I was going to say
community.
She's a savage, but that's positive for me. It's not positive for everyone. But Brittany also leads our open accountability group. So for anybody who doesn't have an accountability group, we have an open group that meets once a month that you can join, and Brittany leads that. So congrats, Brittany.
Jeez,
proud
Brittany,
of you.
Crushing it. I'm so excited. Thanks for listening. If you want to check out our monthly challenge community, head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/club to see what challenge we have coming up next.
See you next time. Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Sirianni.
Ooh. Oh, Jen.
Yes.
We're in person. We didn't mention that until right now.
No. Well, you won't know unless you listen.
Yeah. I wonder, though, if like a really astute listener would be able to tell. Like there's something different about the dynamic.
We look more at our laptops than we do at each other.
We still do. Mm-hmm.
But
because it's vulnerable to just like stare at each other's eyes. But then also I can get so lost in what you're saying when really I do need to be ready with like what I'm going to be saying next. That's part of it. I don't know if that's the case for you too, but I'm like, wait a second. I can't just only be a listener. I have to be an active participant and talk too. So that's sometimes why I have to like break focus and look at my laptop so that I'm on the ball and not just like lost in your eyes.
Oh, wow. That's a lot to take in. I don't listen when you talk. I just am focused on what I'm going to say.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm still listening and just like preparing for the next thing. It is a different way of interacting when you're on the mic. Like, yes, it's a conversation between you and I, but we are more aware of the process of creating something together and giving something of value. That it can't just be this ho-hum convo where we are actually listening to each other.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because when we're just having a conversation, nobody would want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear our conversations. Maybe they do.
They
Maybe that's the
hear
problem.
us when we're actually listening to
I know,
each
when
other.
we're not talking with an outline. No. Like giving each other life updates.
Our life updates are good though.
They're so good. Actually, people would want to listen to them, but they should not be repeated. That's probably what I meant, is that they should not be recorded or repeated. That's why we don't post much behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. I did have the idea though, because when we got together, we hung out last night. And it made me think that it could be a fun thing to do sometimes, like give a 3 bullet point life update. So it's just like real quick, like 3 things. You could choose follow-up questions or not. Just like 3 bullet point life update.
Now?
No.
I'm not prepared.
In the future, in like our post that like hardly anyone knows about. Just
nobody
like
listens.
Really quick, boom, boom, boom. And like, be as vague or specific. Well, it would have to be relatively vague and simple. Mm-hmm. That'd be kind of fun. Let's try it out next time.
Vague on purpose. I like that.
Yeah.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. Dive into family tales, explore the human mind, and laugh with guests like Joel and Benji Madden. It's more than a podcast, it's a celebration of the ties that bind us.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Frances Fry.
And I'm Ann Morris.
And we are the hosts of a new TED podcast called Fixable.
We've helped leaders at some of the world's most competitive companies solve all kinds of problems.
On our show, we'll pull back the curtain and give you the type of honest, unfiltered advice we usually reserve for top executives. Give us a call and we'll help you solve the problems you're stuck on. Listen to Fixable on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.